Hello, hello.
There we
Hey,
go, baby.
how's it going, Mike?
Nice. Good, man. Let me just make sure I got this thing propped up. I got this whole contraption because I got to, my phone is running out of juice. So I
Oh,
got like a charger going. I have like a little like phone tripod.
yeah.
Before I got into bourbon, I was like, and I still am, I was like obsessed with astrophotography. And I
Oh,
didn't have I didn't have a telescope, but I was convinced if I set my phone up on a tripod and I got like one of those little lenses I can attach on, I'd be able to take like great pictures. And little did I know this tripod would come in use 2 years later.
doing something like this. Yeah,
Hmm hmm
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly, bud.
thanks for joining me. I was telling everyone before you hopped on here that you, Penelope Bourbon, and you're the first returning guest to the Urban Bourbon Hour.
Love it, man. Well, we had
Yeah.
such a dude. That's a big. That's technically considered a rerun, right?
Yeah, I guess we could call it that. But you guys are on, so this is going to end up being episode 18 of the Urban Bourbon Hour.
Wow,
You
that's
guys are
crazy.
you guys are on back on episode 8,
That's right.
back in November, I think it was of last year.
Hmm
Um,
I remember that.
yeah.
From we did it from the hotel room right after we
Yes.
finished a bottling run at
Yeah.
Castle. There's Danny. We got Danny on too.
Yeah, Danny's here. Yeah,
What's
so
up, Danny?
you guys are in the hotel room down there in Kentucky.
Hmm
Um, so catch us up on so what's been going on with you guys since November of 2019? Because I mean, the world is a far different place now than it was back then. So I think at that time you guys had sent me this, which is the batch 3 of your barrel
hmm
strength.
hmm
So tell us, like, where are you at now? Like, what batch you're on? What have you guys been up to over the past 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like, I don't know. It's been, it's kind of I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it. Like because we're new to this industry, right? So when we got into this, we were just trying to figure out the nuts and bolts, the basics. All right, we got the sales and marketing end, the distributor end. We got to figure out product and supply chain and cost of goods. And, we were starting to get into a rhythm and then, talk about a crazy, crazy wrench, that was thrown into it over the last 3 months. I mean, it's dynamically, fundamentally different.
Yeah.
I think there's pros and cons, and so I'll kind of go through a lot of that, kind of what we've been up to, and the shift that I've seen from at least a smaller supplier's perspective, as it relates to like our market strategy. But from a product perspective, look, I mean, we've been cranking. We still have our two kind of core offerings. We still have our traditional Penelope Bourbon, our flagship. This one we are going on actually. So in 3 weeks we are doing batch 5 of
Very
this.
cool. All right.
So we're going on batch 5, and we got fortunate, and it was actually very fortunate timing. So we did batch 4 of barrel strength. Batch 4 we just did. Now we did this in the middle of February because we were running low on inventory of batch 3. And man, we got lucky because a lot of that supply chain schedulings were getting, a lot of bottling lines, especially for us, because we're out, we're contracting our blending and bottling.
Yeah.
And man, we got lucky because if we had waited probably an extra 30 days, we could have been out, looking at 2-3 months without barrel strength. So
Mm.
we were fortunate. We did it in February. It was a great run. Danny was cranking on it, did an awesome blend, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, we've actually now I'm like, always like, we're like counting like the baby years, but it's, we've been in market now for about 15 months.
Yeah.
So really trying to keep the energy and momentum going for sure.
So, how many markets are you guys in? Well, I know it's a little bit different now because of the whole online thing. So, talk about that a little bit. You guys were in how many markets prior to this? And then you've sort of had to shift how you're going to look at doing business, right? And you've kind of
Yeah.
shifted how you're selling. Like, tell us a little bit about all that.
Yeah. I mean, like it's interesting. So my background, I mean, I kind of have an e-commerce background. My brother and I, we had started an online mattress company.
Hmm.
We actually still have it. Great beds. We know mattresses inside and out. It's called Bear Mattress. Nice plug for Bear.
All right.
But I had started that about 5 years ago, and that was a very interesting space at the time because that whole business, and this is like a lot of consumer products and a lot of home furnishings. Every couple years, a new segment or a new product was getting disrupted by e-com, right, or online shopping. And first you had like consumer products, like electronics were starting to go online way back when. Then even things like groceries were starting to get disrupted with some online activity. And then you had like this home furnishings where people would never imagine just having a bed sent to their house. And so for me coming into this, I had always looked at I'd always looked at there was probably going to be a time and place where, having an online infrastructure would probably just not thinking of something like this nature, but more thinking long term, like maybe rules change, regulations change, but eventually there was going to be an online shift for sure. In the spirits side of things, and we just didn't know when. And kind of for us, it was fortunate. So we did have a pretty decent backbone set up with our friends like Blake at Sealbox, having our product available with him, with Mash and Grape, Cask Cartel, wine.com, having a lot of this infrastructure in place. And also we've built up some good relationships with the folks at like Flaviar and Caskers. And then, we didn't really think much of it. It wasn't really a big focus for us. What was a big focus was being in the field, servicing our customers in New Jersey, going to New York and just being out there and working with our distributors, kind of like a very, very traditional model. And, it's crazy. Like fast forward now, and I haven't been out in the field in 3 months, and it's not like on my own accord. Like,
right.
I don't even think I'm allowed to.
Yeah, right. It's true.
Yeah. So it's been crazy, man. But no, from a smaller craft side, it's been the shift to online buying has been really, really impactful for smaller suppliers like myself because, if you think about it, we have exposure. Like if someone wants to purchase Penelope Bourbon in Georgia, Texas, California, Hawaii, there's the infrastructure's in place to facilitate that. So you kind of get that national distribution at scale pretty quickly without quote unquote nationally being distributed. Right.
So like you guys were you went from being like traditionally in just a few markets, and then all of this happens and you kind of have that all in place, or you start to build that e-commerce structure. Now it's like Penelope went from here to here in a matter of a very short period of time, where if you were out boots on the ground trying to make that happen, it would be, that would take you probably forever.
Well, yeah, and it's hard to compete with these big guys. Think about it. When you're kind of in that traditional model, and we're not getting away from that. Like that's still our core. That's going to be the core line. But as you're like an emerging brand and you're trying to you're hustling, you're grinding, you're doing whatever you can to get out there. A lot of these bigger suppliers have a lot of dollars behind it where they can be running incentive programs and doing all these things to basically drive case sales. In particular markets. And, for the smaller guys, it's basically you're working off like you're grinding and you're just basically piecing it together, like with doing it yourself and obviously partnering with your distributors, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And then, when you have a switch like this with, as unfortunate as COVID is, from an online perspective, you see the numbers and it's not just us, it's like across the board, all spirits, wines, etc. The volume, you look at these Drizzly numbers, they're insane. I think they're up like 500%. So it's not just that, it's just the shift to purchasing has really happened like overnight. And I think it's a testament to that this was probably in the works from a consumer. Consumers probably wanted this.
Oh, gosh,
and now it kind of like fast tracked that quite a bit.
Imagine what's going to happen when Amazon decides that they want to get in on the selling alcohol game. I'm
Yeah.
actually pretty shocked that at this point they haven't just done like, so for example, like Uber, when they were expanding, Uber would just go into a city and just start operating and just be like,
Yeah.
they'd flip the bird.
Send me a
Yeah,
cease and desist.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They'd flip the bird
Mhm.
at whatever city it was and be like, hey,
Yeah.
we're here, we're doing business, and then they just like basically they just barged the door, through the door and started doing it. I'm actually surprised that either like someone like Amazon or some other company that has, money behind it didn't just say, you know what, we're gonna just start shipping alcohol and see what happens. I guess it's a little bit trickier when you get into alcohol and having to verify age and all that when you're shipping things. But still, it is one of those areas that is, like you mentioned, it's ripe for some sort of disruption to happen to it.
Mhm.
And I think myself personally, and most people I know, we want that disruption to happen in this arena. It's an
Yeah.
interesting time.
Yeah, and I think the way I look at it is I don't know like what's going to happen. I mean, it's because it is highly it's highly, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, there's a lot of money exchanging hands amongst distributors, suppliers, retail. It's like the whole chain. It's a really kind of integrated model that's been around probably really since post-prohibition.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is it's funny you said Amazon. I remember when I first really started ramping up Penelope Bourbon before we released anything. I mean, I was like looking at launching an Amazon page and just having it ready.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to sell anything, but I got the pieces in place so we could just basically turn the switch on if it ever happened. I should probably jot that down. Maybe I'll. But no, honestly, I would be I would not be shocked by any sort of activity on that front. It's probably just a matter of time before, and I don't think the like brick and mortar or on-prem, those aren't going away. I just think you'll see like a healthy mix across different means, just like every other product. Like people can buy a TV at a store, or they can go to a Best Buy, or they can go to a local appliance shop. I mean, you have options.
Yes. And John from Dad's Drinking Bourbon says you need a haircut.
Dude, no
So
way.
do I, man. Look at this.
It's funny. So I cut my own hair.
Did you?
And this is how long, it's a great call, Mr. Edwards. This is how long that this has been going on for. I buzzed it with like a 5 back in early April.
Yeah.
And I kind of am due. I'll probably do it. Maybe I'll buzz it up this week.
Yeah. It's I mean, we're all in this situation here right now. So let's talk a little bit about the most recent batches that you guys have the most recent batches you guys have put out. I don't remember if we talked about this the first time that you were on, but can you tell us a little bit, like when you get down to Castle and Key and you start to do your bottling run, like how far in advance are you guys there do you have the blend nailed down already, or are you going there a little bit in advance of the bottling run and figuring out the blend? Like, just give us a little bit of an idea on how you get it from the barrel into the bottle.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, if you had asked me this question a year ago, I might have not had an exact answer. I probably would have been like, well, a lot of invisible maps. I would have been like, well, we'll do this. So, for us, it's this has been a work in progress, right? For us, we're kind of figuring out a lot of this as we've been progressing as a business and as a product too. And one of the things about Penelope is that it's a blend of 3 different bourbon mash bills, right? And we kind of learned very quickly that you can't really you have an idea for what your blend should be and the taste profile, but you really don't know until you dump those barrels and that yield.
Yeah.
So really, you kind of, and it's part of the fun. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, Danny and I, where part of it is it is on the fly, and so it's a really hands-on. There's really not. It's impossible for us not to be on site when we do a blend or a bottling run, because it's not like, hey, just dump the barrel. It's going to be 10% this, 15 this, 12 this. It's impossible because you never know what that barrel yield is going to be when you actually do the dump, right? And so for us, really the first starting point before we even get into it, it's what's our lowest yield. So if we're looking at, say like our corn bourbon, our rye bourbon, or our wheat bourbon, whatever that lowest yield is where we're going to really start things off and work from there. So kind of reverse engineering it a little bit.
That's pretty interesting. It's good insight to hear you say that. Like, hey man, some of this is just like we gotta just figure it out as we're going, and we just make it happen. I think that's what I love about a brand like yours and guys like you that are starting up and like you're learning along the way. It's just so fun to hear it from you and like get that insight. As you guys have like started things up, you've been in the market now for a little over a year. Like what is kind of like the biggest, I guess I'll say, what's the biggest mistake that you guys have made like along the way, and like how did you learn from that particular mistake? Has there been like something that you were just like,
where do I start? I didn't even know if you were going to ask me this, I would have had like an Oscar thank you speech ready to go. I would have had, the mistakes are, look, you're building a business. It's okay to make mistakes. I think that's the beauty of it. I think you embrace these mistakes and you learn from them. I think if you just like, if you're not like taking anything from it, then forget it. It's not going to work out. But no, look, there's been mistakes on the bottling line, especially in the early batches when we first started doing this. I'll be fully transparent. I had no idea what went into a blend. For me, for Danny, the biggest blind spot was blending.
Yeah.
Really. And I think it's probably from an outsider's perspective, you hear a lot about master distillers, and there's obviously a lot of craft, and what they're doing is amazing. There's no doubt about it. But there's so much to blending, especially when you're getting into like these really like unique nuances of a taste profile like ours. And I think we really had some challenges in the beginning getting our blend down. But then there's also been stuff on the sales and marketing side, because you see these brands spending a lot of money, these bigger suppliers, and you're like, oh, how do I, and sometimes it's just better to take a step back and, just look at everything and think about it a little bit,
Yeah. Here's a question for you, kind of playing off of what you said, like when you see brands out there like spending all this money to like get themselves in front of people or to basically push their product to the maybe front of the line at a store or whatever it may be, whatever the games are that are being played. If you had, say, $25,000 extra dollars that was just given to you, how would you use that? How would you use that in the business? How would you apply that to the business? Like, what do you think would be the best way to utilize that, like, found money?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't buy a car. That's for starters. No, it's funny. Look, because we're always dealing with cash flow. Because we have inventory, and we're kind of doing this as we progress. So we're reinvesting it back, and we've been doing that since the first batch. And really, for us, like, it's pretty timely. I think for us is we do have, that $25,000 can get spread across a number of different ways. I look at, we have product innovation. So we have short-term product needs that we're really trying to put forward. So a little bit, I would probably carve out a little bit for inventory, for like the immediate product. And I definitely carve out a little bit for sales and marketing. Yeah. And then probably put, try to keep some in the bank.
Yeah, well, that's a good answer. I like it. Yeah, and if someone's asking, Jaron is asking, can we ask questions to the question back? Yeah, if you've got a question, just hit that little question mark down there and send it to me, and we'll see if. So here's a question for you, Mike. When will you be in Tennessee? Any plans? But I'm sure
I would love. For us, like I don't know. I want to be in Tennessee. If I had a guess, I would love to be there right now. Truthfully, I think we got a lot going on right here with New Jersey and New York and some of the online stuff that we're doing, and we're in Wisconsin and Nebraska, and so we are like head down, just really trying to make, those states successful. It's funny, we could keep going super wide, but, we're really trying to go deep into some of these markets to get like a good foothold. But with that being said, I think we're not proactively trying to seek out new markets, but if folks reach out, we're definitely, like, if like a distributor reaches out and they're interested, I mean, we would definitely entertain it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and
that's like probably a lame answer, but
no, it's not. I mean, you do have to focus on the markets that you're in. You said that, like, you have to pay attention to those because those are the first ones you built. But if someone is in Tennessee, they can still find your product now because of everywhere it's available online. Like, I'm pretty sure Sealbox ships to Tennessee.
They do.
Yeah, that's the place to go right now for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was one of the first things. So I think back in March, so we had a lot of these online partnerships set up, and there was like no clean way that we were like talking about it. So now, like, when you go to our store locator, the first thing you see is like buy online because, from a small business perspective, we just, it's about continuing to just kind of try to keep things moving forward. So yeah, it's like Sealbox, Mash and Grape, Caskers, and there's a Cask Cartel. There's a few of them that all ship to Tennessee.
Well, I saw that Penelope is now here in Chicago.
Yes. How about that? And that's all through online. That's all online. It's incredible.
So talk about how that works, because we talked on the phone last week, and you were telling me about, I think it's called is it LibDib?
LibDib.
Is the distributor. So that's an online distributor, but they've gotten you into the Chicago market that way. How does that all work? So
I mean, honestly, we're huge fans of LibDib. I mean, everything they really are. It's a really cutting edge model for smaller craft suppliers, distilleries, excuse me. And so basically how they set up, they're based out of California, and they have a platform. Now the platform is for the suppliers. Like, I can log into it and post my products and put, just miscellaneous information. I could do pricing. And then they have the retailers and the bars and restaurants also have a login, and they could go in there and search products and purchase them right online, right?
Very cool.
And it's a really cool model. And so what they did is they went out and they set themselves up as a wholesaler. And I think I'm sure they started in California because that's where they're based, but then they expanded. Then they were set up as a wholesaler in New York, Wisconsin, Illinois, and they just set up Florida. And then the last one they set up was Illinois.
Very
so
cool.
We're set up. I mean, what's interesting is Penelope Bourbon, we have our permit in Colorado, Florida, California, and in the states that we're not having, like, we don't have like true, like a distributor that's like has a sales team. And I'll be honest, it's been an amazing model. I couldn't say enough good things about them.
That's very cool. Well, I'm glad that you're here in Chicago now.
Well, and I got the Binnies, those the good folks at Binnies over there on South Loop.
Yeah, that's right. That's the store right by me.
And then Garfield's Beverage Warehouse. They got a couple nice stores. Yeah, so we're excited, man. And I got a good friend of mine, Rich Miller, and his wife. They live out in Chicago. He moved out there from Jersey. So
very nice.
He's especially happy about that.
Yeah. Are both products here the 80 proof and the barrel strength?
They are. Yep.
Cool.
Which is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me ask you this. This is kind of an interesting question. You and Danny are friends going way back, and you guys got together. You started this brand, Penelope Bourbon. If Penelope, the brand, wasn't the bourbon brand, and you and Danny were still running this business together as Penelope, what would it be if it wasn't whiskey?
That's a good question, actually. You caught me off guard with that one. I thought we were going to be talking about whiskey.
It just kind of throw a little curveball in there.
Man, I would probably look. I've been in the mattress business. Can't you just imagine like a really comfortable mattress called Penelope, right? Like a nice pillow top, bed in the box, easy to great website, clouds in the website and everything like that. I don't know. My mind, I probably would say it'd probably be like a pillow or mat, something that I'm familiar with.
Well,
It's a good question, though.
Danny, if you're still out there, chime in if Mike is wrong on this business idea for mattresses.
Well, it's funny. I'm not even kidding you. Danny remembers. Before I started Penelope, all of our high school friends were all on a group thread on Telegram, and I was like dead set on starting an astrophotography business. Like dead set on this, right? I was pleading with my wife, get me a telescope for the holidays. Just get me anything. And she never got it. She was like, no, what are you like crazy? And this was before we were trying to have Penelope, and I was really gung ho on this. So maybe it could have been an astrophotography business. Penelope, Danny, pictures of the moon.
Danny has chimed in here, and he says it would be suitcases.
Oh, Danny. Get out of here, dude. Nice.
I mean, suitcases, online suitcases, that's like big business these days.
Toomey, somebody's got to displace Toomey. Yeah. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, seriously.
That's funny. Suitcases.
Yeah.
Danny probably had some bad thing happen with the suitcase where he's just like really mad at suitcases.
So just, hey, that's a primary reason a lot of people start businesses, because they're ticked off at whatever product it is, and I can do this better.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another one for you. Being an owner of a whiskey brand, like, people think that's pretty cool. You probably hear a lot of times, people saying, oh, you've got the best job in the world, you own a whiskey brand. What's like the biggest misconception that people have of like you and Danny and like what you do from day to day, like owning a whiskey brand? Like, people have to say things to you that you're just like, no, it's not like that at all.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, really, I mean, it's, when you're, before COVID, I mean, when we're doing tastings every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 to 7, 2 hours away, I mean, you're like, and maybe there might be good nights, there might be bad nights, you just never know. I mean, and it's, there's always times you're like, no, it's a grind. It's not the George Clooney Casamigos. We're going to do this and it's like game over. No, it's highly competitive. There's a lot of great whiskeys out there. There's a lot of great spirits in general, like out there. And there's a lot of these companies are great marketers and just put out great products. And it's just very, very difficult to, and it's just your typical grind for sure.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's not as glamorous as it sounds. Like, I'm a co-founder of a whiskey brand. That's cool. But
on paper, it sounds super cool.
But it's not exactly that easy to do. It's not all glamour. You're not just sitting around drinking your own whiskey by the pool every single day. Someone's got to be out there selling it and making it and all that.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that is, no one's gonna do it for you. Like, especially when you're new. Like, if you get a distributor, it's not like reasoning. It's like it's just more work. Like you're gonna have to go up there, like, and actually like go do it. You're gonna have to actually do that stuff yourself, and I think that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Rolling up our sleeves, I think that's part of why we got into it. But yeah, there's days. I mean, there's days where just like anything, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like, and maybe it could be like taxes. Like, like there's so many little things. Because, we don't have like a digital marketing guy. We have that's actually another friend of ours from high school. He does our website. He's great. But, with even doing little things with the website, like we put up, we've always had T-shirts and things like that we give out to like customers and things. And we were like, oh, let's put them on a website. You know how much work went into just getting that online. I mean, it was like so awfully, it was terrible. And no, but I think it's just part of it. Right. Yeah. And, I think, it's just a grind, but it's fun.
Well, speaking of that, you guys just got that.
It is a job after all, someone wrote.
Yeah,
yep.
Someone wrote that. You guys just got that shop kind of up and running now on the website, right? I think I saw some posts about it today on your Instagram.
Yeah, and that's great too. It's nice. This is like definitely a family business. My wife handles. She does the day-to-day social. She helps with a lot of the creative. She takes care of the real Penelope, which is great.
Which is very important.
Danny's wife's heavily involved, Candace, and obviously Danny and I work like hand in hand. We talk like 75 times a day. Like literally. There's the ongoing joke between our wives are like, there's, that State Farm commercial. They're like, who's like, I forget the thing. Who's State Farm? Yeah, it's like, that's what they're always saying when we're talking at night. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's fun that we have, we got it's like a family business.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, what do you think about, especially kind of like because of the situation we're in now, the whole idea of like utilizing social media as a smaller brand? I feel like, and you tell me what you think, I feel like this is like using social media as a smaller brand is like a huge opportunity to kind of be out there. I mean, look, you're on here with me right now. I think this is really a cool thing for you to be doing, for sure, and for the brand to be doing. But like, what's your overall perspective on utilizing that as a tool for you guys?
Yeah, no, and I love, this has always been part of like, I really just enjoy like, the social elements. I enjoy having these conversations. Like we talk on the phone. Like, I genuinely love talking about bourbon and the industry and kind of some of the things that we're going through. But no, I'll be honest, it's extremely important. I think because, it was funny. I was watching, I forget what channel I was watching. It was something. And there was like it was like not ABC, but it was a cable station, maybe like TNT or something like that. I was watching a movie and there's a Maker's Mark ad.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's big marketing. Like there's not going to be a Penelope Bourbon ad on cable TV.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it will ever happen. And, so I think for us, it's about really telling our story from the beginning. Like we've been trying to tell it on social, really from the beginning, who we are, what we stand for, like what our values are and what our product is. And, I think that message has continued to just resonate with all you got, with everybody, and I don't know if it does or not, but for us, it's been really, really helpful for sure.
No,
Thanks, Rob. Oh, there's Rob. So Asbury Park Distilling, they're right here in New Jersey. Awesome. Rob's the man. They got a great product, great whiskey, great gins, great vodkas. Awesome. So if you're ever in New Jersey, you got to go check out Asbury Park. They got to pick that up. Mm-hmm.
You kind of touched on like you like talking about whiskey and the industry and everything. I do too, obviously. But like, what are some of the things in whiskey right now that are like really exciting to you that you're seeing going on?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's honestly something we're right now we are really focused on product. And we'll put all the we're thinking about a lot of how we view our product lineup, and this is not just short term, but this is long term, right? I think there's like we've been trying to get we're just trying to play catch up with ourselves for the last 15 months. Like, oh, we got to do another run because we're running. It's like we're kind of in that constant state of just trying to keep pace with ourselves and where we're at. So I think one of the silver linings in all of this is Danny and I have had a lot of time to really talk to a lot of people, like really get some good and valuable information. Like John's been really, really helpful. Just picking people's brains on like what's the bigger picture, like with how we organize our our products or our release schedule. And I think that's for us. That's kind of how we're looking at for first step is. All right, how are we are we going to do a barrel strength release like once a year, twice a year? Do we name it? Is it called batches, or do we do we tinker with the blend a little bit, have a little fun with it, or do we go for consistent? These are all the questions that we're really, I think for the first time, we're starting to have at least an idea of where we want to go.
Yeah.
so that we can put it in place and try to, I don't know if it ever will happen, but you try to actually go and execute on it to some extent. And from a product perspective, we're really just looking at everything across the board. Everything.
So I think I've seen online a little bit. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I think I've seen some finishes in the future for Penelope.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of how we're looking at it. We want to have maybe 4 brands, and this is a work in progress. So don't hold us to this.
Absolutely.
We're kind of giving you the real time, like what we're thinking about right now.
Yeah, I love it.
So we have our traditional Penelope, right? This is our 80 proof. This is a great price, and it's meant to be a great entry bourbon, or if you're just looking to have a deck pour at 2 p.m, go for it. You could still make dinner. And this is kind of our flagship, right? And then then we had barrel strength. So this is kind of our brand number 2, and now you're thinking about, okay, well, we don't want to just have 50 different brands, maybe. We want to keep it highly focused, right? But do it in a way where we can still have a lot of fun and try to put out really unique products for our customers and potentially future customers.
Yeah.
So the first and foremost, I think we were thinking about this kind of limited release series, which is basically a 3rd brand where we're thinking about naming it after, Cooper, which is Danny's son. And, these are just things where we look at, maybe things that are aged a little bit more than our core brands, cast finishes, and really making this kind of an experimental platform for us.
Yeah.
We'll take it through the rigor, and it would always be a good product we put out, but really making this a platform where maybe we do 2 releases a year. We're not we don't have super deep pockets to just go and pump out a bunch of it. So it actually would be a limited release because we just can't afford to make more of it.
Yeah.
So we would put out what we can and then, but have it on a pretty regimented schedule. You know what I mean? And then, this 4th idea, we were really kind of honed in on, for us, I've been really into I love barrel picks. I think these barrel programs are really cool. I think it's a great experience for not just the retailer, but the customer.
Oh, yeah. And
it really hyper localizes the whiskey experience for across the board for everybody, right? It's just an awesome thing. And, for us, it's a little bit harder for us to do that because we are we have a 3 mash blend.
Yeah.
And so, we really have been thinking a lot about how we productize the blending experience at scale for our retail customers.
Oh,
and doing it in a way that's very annual and seasonal, but, giving folks some different options to do it and really do it at scale, though, really.
Yeah. So were you thinking so you mentioned something under Danny's son's name, like Cooper. Would that product be, it would always have that name, but it might be a changing product under that name?
Yeah, I would look at it as probably be a series.
Okay.
Oh, you'd have to run a trademark, you'd have to run a trademark, assuming there's, but think of it as the limited release series.
Yeah.
So within a limited release series, you could have all different types. One of those is a cast finish. One of those is it could be anything, really. It's just limited release, things that we think are really, really amazing. It could be a Penelope 10-year. So it's all of our mashes at 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's just things that are in that limited release bucket. And then basically from there, we have we really wanted the ability to bring the blending experience, bring the experience that Danny and I had at MGP, our first trip where we were blending and just having fun. It was just fun. We want to bring that really, really to our customers. And we want to do it in a way but it's got to be, there's a lot to it. So it's, we've been thinking a lot about it, but I think it's a great way to get some really unique experiences and kind of bring blending to the forefront a little bit.
that's a really cool and pretty unique idea. I like that a lot. That's very interesting. Um, so if you're not drinking Penelope or if you're not drinking whiskey, what's your kind of drink of choice outside of the world of whiskey?
It's a great, well, I know exactly what it is only because I've been drinking a lot of them lately because my wife's obsessed with them. I'm probably going to butcher the name. So it's basically a margarita, but it's like called a Paloma. Does that sound?
Yeah.
Paloma.
Palomas. Yeah.
So it's like this. They are. I mean, they're so good.
It's
So we've been having a lot of them. We love Mexico. Like we used to go down. Like you haven't been in actually a while. We used to go to Mexico. We love like Mexican food, and we love like margaritas are just so good. So I think it's Paloma, right?
yeah. I think it's tequila, and I think it's grapefruit. I think is the other main ingredient in there. Yeah.
That's right, because every time I'm at the grocery store, she's like, go get grapefruit. Sometimes we'll swap grapefruits with oranges.
Very nice.
And so just do the oranges, yeah. But that would probably be one of the few things. I mean, I really don't drink beer at all. Yeah. I think partly because beer, if I drink beer, I'm like 3 days, 4 days, I'm going to be out of it. Like I'll be in pretty rough shape. Just it beats up my body really badly. But those Palomas, man, they're pretty good.
Those are good.
They're really good.
Those will be good for the summertime too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we're going to be coming out of this whole deal we're in here. I mean, obviously states are opening up and things like that. Do you guys have plans to get those next batches going and being down at Castle and Key? I know it's probably almost impossible to plan right now, but is there anything on the kind of horizon that you guys are thinking about getting back down there to do those next batches?
Oh yeah, no, I mean we have like quite a bit going on actually. So we do have an 80 proof run coming up at Castle and Key in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'll be honest, like Danny and I, we're considering this product. Everything's on the table right now. I think there's a very different dynamic out there. And it's really not so much about the consumer buying behavior, just thinking about like, how do we make this the best possible product, right? So, we're doing this. This is in 3 weeks. We actually have to if we were to make any changes to the proof, we have to figure it out in the next few days.
Yeah.
Right now it's 80 proof, but we are, full transparency. We're exploring what it's like, and I'm not talking. We're not looking to go. We have a vision for this,
sure.
But we're looking at 80. We've literally been lining them up across the board. But maybe there's a change in proof to give it a little bit more oomph.
Nice.
And it's not about the oomph. It's really about making what makes it the best product.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like we've had the time to like sit back and be like, how do we make it better? Like, we're not trying to dramatically, we just want to make it better, right?
Yeah.
So we got this coming up in 3 weeks, and maybe there's some alterations to it. We have been looking at some label redesigns, not crazy, but just getting different backdrops, like changing up some of the textures that we're using on the labels so it doesn't stain as much and things like that. That's right, man.
Beautiful label.
Yeah, and it's peony season right now too. All of our peonies are about to pop, which is good. Yeah, so I mean those are the big things. We got our big run at Castle and Key in 3 weeks, and then we have. We've got a few runs that we've actually pre-scheduled out. So we went ahead and we put them in the schedule. So, we're kind of cranking away. But one of the most exciting things that I'm personally excited about, and this is in part because Danny is like a wizard. I don't know how he figured out all this blending and bottling stuff. Like he's an engineer, so he figured it out quickly. Is we've gotten our DSP. So, we have our distilled spirits plant permit in New Jersey. And, I think we want to, we know that we could be a really great blending and bottling company, like rectifying and blending. And I don't think we want to we're not looking to move things, but as we get into more unique, like small batch products, being able to do that in-house could have some significant advantages.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that on the phone. I forgot that you told me that about the DSP. I mean, that's a really interesting that you have that, because I mean that could be like, the Penelope Reserve could come out of, your facility, your little blending house in New Jersey or whatever it may be. Like really, really special stuff comes out of there that you guys like are really focusing on making like a kick-ass product. That's really cool. That's a very interesting idea. When did you guys secure that DSP?
Well, it's again, these were things we've like had these on our list. I think I've had on my things to do list. I use like a yellow legal pad, and I always, every night, because it's just, I always like to write stuff back down, and then I can remember, like, I'm not going to forget it, right? Just like a crazy thing that I have. And I've literally had like get a DSP, like, which is like a big thing. It's a huge project undertaking. I've had that on there for like since I started the business.
Yeah.
And we did. I mean, we have a warehouse. Our warehouse is actually what used to be an alcohol chemical plant.
Yeah, you told me that. Yes.
So it's just a matter. And Danny's a mechanical engineer. And so he's like, when he got to get into like site maps and all this stuff, he was all jacked up. And it was pretty cool. And so we were able to, from the federal side, we had all the proper stuff ready to go. The application happened extremely quickly. And I think that was in part because of COVID and they're just fast tracking certain things. So it was extremely quick, but we had everything ready to go. New Jersey, we're still going through it. Could take another couple months, but we want to have at least that permit done by the summer, and then, maybe get some blending and bottling going by the fall.
Yeah, I mean, at least it gives you guys the option to do that and have it kind of in your back pocket if you want to do something like really, really special. Would you guys be thinking about making like a visitor's experience out there as well for fans of the brand?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be like, I just want to like clarify here, okay, right? This is not going to be, this isn't like a Walt Disney World experience, right? It's still, it's just a warehouse facility. But, I think we'll make it our own, which is, we'll make it fun. And I don't think it's necessarily like there's some things around it's more of like a manufacturing permit too. Meaning we could still have people come. I mean, anyone could come. That's not an issue. But it's not going to have it's not going to be this tasting room in this on-premise facility. That won't be part of this particular license.
Yeah.
That actually makes things a lot more complicated too, getting that kind of retail end of it. But because for us, I mean, really what we need is we actually do know now that we've been in this, we know we kind of need this for R&D, number one. It's really hard to do R&D through this, when it's not your own facility.
Yeah.
Really, really difficult. So it's actually, we have a need for it. And and then we figured we could come, maybe it'd be a quick tour, but we can do some blending. No matter what, we would make it a great experience.
Of course.
That's all that matters. And we drink some bourbon and then, take it from there.
Yeah, no, that's really
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for coming back on here and taking the time, and talking. It's always fun talking to you and just finding out like everything that's going on with you guys. And I really do love the insight that you give into like your thought process and all these ideas that you guys have kind of that you're throwing back and forth between each other. And it's just cool as a bourbon enthusiast, as a whiskey enthusiast, to get like that perspective and to hear it from the people that are doing it. So it's cool. And thank you very much for like being so open and honest about everything that you guys are up to, because it's really interesting. And I think everyone watching tonight, there was a lot of comments, like people found it to be very intriguing as well. So thank you for that.
No, you've been an early supporter. I mean, heck, man, you've been such an early supporter of ours, and we appreciate it. And onward and upward, right?
Yeah.
But who won the hair competition? Someone said there was a hair competition. By the way, your hair looks great.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I need a haircut very bad. So someone sent this through. That's Jaron, my friend there, who has the better hair. I don't know who. I don't know. I think we got to call
You
it a
got it.
tie.
Chris got it. Chris got
No,
the win.
I don't think
Chris
so.
got the win. Battle of the Hairs. You definitely. That's a you got a good flow tonight. We always say great flow.
Yeah, it's a lot of lettuce up there. But
Yeah.
no, but Mike, thank you very much. Let's do this again. Like, keep me up to date on everything that's going on with you guys, and I'd love to have you on anytime. It's always fun to talk and to get your perspective on things. So
One of these
thank,
times we'll do it on site. We'll do it on site when we're doing some blending.
that
Get
would
in
be
the
cool.
weeds.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you very much, and have a great rest of your evening, and keep in touch.
Thanks, bud.
All right,
Appreciate
cheers,
it. Take
Mike.
care.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining. I thought that was a fun conversation with Mike there. A lot of good insight into a very small brand and guys that are just getting out there and getting after it themselves. Cool to hear about all of the things that they're sort of planning and thinking about doing. So if you're not familiar, go check out Penelope Bourbon. Check out their website, penelopebourbon.com. Like Mike said, they're available pretty much anywhere now online. Like, you can probably find someone that will ship to you. Everything is just linked right on their website. Of course, you can see really cool guys. Mike and Danny are both really down to earth and interesting guys. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. And until next time, cheers.